Good morning, students. My topic for today's session is continuation of index numbers, which is chain base and cost of living index numbers. You have base shifting, splicing, deflation. So all this we'll be seeing in this session. So these are the contents which I'll be covering in this session. One is chain base index numbers. What are the criteria of a good index number? Cost of living index number, base shifting, splicing, and deflation. So first we'll see chain-based index numbers, abbreviated as CBI. See, in the previous session, whatever index numbers we have calculated, whether it is price or quantity or value, whatever index numbers we have discussed, for those index numbers, the base periods was fixed. Okay? So those are called as fixed base methods. So that means that is what it is given here. According to the fixed base methods, the base remains the same and unchangeable throughout the series. So, but when the time changes or when the time passes, the value or the conditions may be different from the base year and to the current year. So, in such cases, we may not be able to calculate the correct indices. So that is what, but as the time passes, some items may be added in the series, some items may be deleted. So it becomes tough to compare the result of the current conditions with that of the past period. So in such a situation, changing the base period will be the appropriate thing we can do. So in such, this method is known as whenever we change the base period as per the situation, we use chain index numbers method. Okay, now what is this chain index number? We'll discuss in detail now. So as the name suggests, chain means we know it is continuation. In any method, whenever say it forms a like food chain or anything, that means chain means one after the other. It's a continuous process. It's a series kind of thing. So a chain index is also an index number in which the value of any given period is related to the value of its immediately preceding period. For example, for the year 2001, if you are finding the index numbers for the year 2001, then 2000 will be the base year for this 2001. Similarly, if you are calculating index numbers for the year 2002, 2001 will be the base year for this year 2002. So here in chain index number for the present year, the immediate preceding year will be the base period. So under this method, what we do, firstly, we express the figures for each year as a percentage of the preceding year. So this is called as link relatives. So first thing, important method, in this method, first we express the values for each year as a percentage of the preceding year, which is nothing but link relatives. After calculating this link relatives, we need to chain them together by successive multiplication to form a chain index. Okay. So that is here what I have explained here. It was given here. Unlike fixed base methods, in this method, the base year changes every year. Every year, the base year will be changing. Like example, for the year 2001, 2000 will be the base year. For the year 2002, 2001 will be the base year. For the year 2003, 2002 will be base year. So these are the steps in the construction of chain indices. You have first, as I have discussed in the previous slide, first you have to calculate the link relatives. How will calculate the link relatives? By expressing the given figures as a percentage of the preceding year figures. That is, link relative of current year is equal to price of current year by price of previous year into 100. After calculating this link relatives, you have to calculate chain indices. Indices is nothing but plural form of index. So here, to calculate the chain index numbers, we use this formula. What is that formula? Chain index is equals to current year link relative into previous year chain relative divided by 100. And always the first value of chain relative, we always take it as chain index. The first chain index number will be always 100. From the second year onwards, you calculate this chain indices using this formula. Current year link relative into previous year chain relative divided by 100. There is one more formula to convert. If you want to convert chain based index numbers into fixed based index numbers, then the formula is current year, this is year, current year fixed base index number equal to current year chain base indices into previous year fixed base indices by 100. Now see criteria of a good index number. Before discussing about criteria of a good index number, why we have this criteria, let me tell you. See, whenever we construct an index number, there will be some errors in that calculation. Okay. So in index numbers, we have three components of errors. We have some components of errors which are classified into three types of errors. Okay. So the component of errors in the construction of index numbers are formula error, sampling error, and homogeneity error. The formula error, from this name itself we can make out. There will be some error in the formulas. How that error will occur? So it arises due to the usage of different formula, none of which measures the price or quantity changes with perfection. It means that what? See, if we are selecting a formula, suppose we are selecting a formula and calculating the index number, but that formula is not measuring the changes in the prices or quantities with perfection, then we'll have formula error. Sampling error. What is sampling error? If you are not selecting a correct representative of the population to calculate the index number, then you will get sampling error. That means if you are selecting a wrong sample of the commodities to calculate the index number or for measuring the prices or quantities changes, then you will get a sampling error. So that is what it arises from the sampling of the commodities to be included in the index for measuring the price or quantity changes. Then what is homogeneity error? Here it is given as it arises due to the changes in the composition of commodities in the two periods of comparison. What does this mean? What does this mean? Homogeneity error means, homogeneity means it should be same. So whenever they are not same, you will get this error. What are not same means, suppose I want to compare two periods. Okay, one year, say year 2010 and year 2020. Or say year 2010 and year 2011. So what I am taking in 2010, I am taking commodities of say only pulses. What are the prices or change in the prices of pulses? And in 2011, I am taking what are the changes in the prices of the vegetables. So here two commodities are different. For 10, I am taking pulses as the commodities. For 11, I am taking vegetables as the commodities. And I am trying to compare these 2 years. But the 2 years have different commodities for comparison. Then that is known as homogeneity error. So here this sampling error, we can rectify it by selecting the correct sample. Homogeneity error, we have to compare the periods with same composition of the commodities. Note how to rectify this formula error. So to measure this formula error, you have different tests: unit test, time reversal test, factor reversal test, circular test. So these are known as criteria of a good index number. Okay, so what are the criteria of a good index numbers means this unit test, time reversal test, factor reversal test, and circular test. Now we'll discuss one by one. First is unit test. Unit test means whatever index number you are calculating, it should be free from units, measuring units. That is called as unit test. So this test requires the index numbers to be independent of the units in which the prices and quantities of various commodities are quoted. Yes, so almost all the index numbers formulas satisfies this unit test, except one test, which is simple unweighted aggregate index number. Except this, all other index numbers satisfies this unit test. Second test is time reversal test. Time reversal test, from the name itself we can make it out. We are reversing the time. That means if you are calculating index number as P0i, see here, if I am calculating P0i and when I am reversing this time, this is the time, when I am reversing it, it will become Pi0. So when you multiply those two, you should get 1. Or P0i should be reciprocal of this Pi0. So that is what is time reversal test. The index number reckoned forward should be the reciprocal of the index number reckoned backward. except for a constant of proportionality. This is index number reckoned forward. This is index number reckoned backward. So when you are multiplying them, you are getting a constant 1. Or the index number reckoned forward is reciprocal of the index number reckoned backward. So this test is satisfied by Fisher's ideal index number, Marshall-Edgeworth index number, and simple geometric mean of price relatives. We'll see how these index numbers are satisfying here. See, the test is not satisfied by Laspier's method and Parsh's method. I'm testing for Laspier's and Parsh's whether they satisfy this time reversal or not. As in the previous session, I told you in what is Laspier's index number formula. You have Laspier's index number P0i or P01 means both are same. P0i is equals to summation Pij Q naught j by P naught j Q naught j. Summation P1 Q naught. See, Ij is 1. Naught j is only 0. P naught. Okay. So summation P1 Q naught by summation P naught Q naught. Similarly, P10 is summation P naught Q1 by summation P1 Q1. Now multiply these two, you should get 1. Now when I am multiplying these two, nothing is getting cancelled here. That means this is not equal to 1. So Laspier's index number does not satisfy this test. Similarly, Parsh's method. Parsh's method P01 is equal to summation P1 Q naught by summation P naught Q naught, and P1 naught is equals to summation P naught Q1 by P1 Q1. So when I multiply these two, this is not also equal to 1. This is not equal to 1. So Parsh's also does not satisfy this test. Now let us see how Fisher's is satisfying this test. So you have P01 equal to summation P1 Q naught by summation P naught Q naught into summation P1 Q1 by summation P naught Q1. This is Fisher's index number formula. Now I have to change this time from 0 to 1 to 1 to 0. So reverse this formula. So P10 will be root of summation P naught Q1 by P1 Q1 into summation P naught Q naught by P1 Q naught. Wherever you have 1, you write 0 in P10. Wherever you have 0, you write 1. Now multiply this P01 and P10. So when I am multiplying this, I'll get square root of all these terms I'm writing here. So what are the terms getting cancelled? You have to see. See summation P1 Q naught here and summation P1 Q naught here. These two will get cancelled. Then summation P naught Q1 and summation P naught Q1. These two will get cancelled. And then summation P1 Q1, summation P1 Q1 will get cancelled. Summation P naught Q naught, summation P naught Q naught will get cancelled. So the remaining term is only 1. Root of 1 is equals to 1. So now you got P01 into P10 is equals to 1. So Fisher's index number satisfies this test. Likewise, you can also prove for Marshall-Edgeworth index number also. Next, third test is factor reversal test. What is factor reversal test? When you are multiplying the price index number and quantity index number, you should get value index number. Then that is called as factor reversal test. So the price and quantity index numbers when multiplied should give the value index number. That is P0i into Q0i should be equal to V0i. And this this test is not satisfied by any of the index number except Fisher's index number. None of the index numbers satisfies this formula. Only Fisher's index number satisfies this formula. How it satisfies, we'll see. P0if is Pij Q naught j by P naught j Q naught j into Pij Qij by P naught j Qij square root or whole power half. Similarly, Q naught f. Now quantity index number. So in same formula you will have, instead of P you will write Q, instead of Q you will write P. So Q naught I is equals to summation Qij P naught j by summation Q naught j P naught j into summation Qij Pij by summation Q naught j Pij whole power half. Now multiply this P0if and Q0if. Now I'm multiplying these two. So when I'm multiplying these two, whole power half you will have. See, these two terms are getting cancelled. Which one? This is Q naught j Pij. This is Q naught j Pij. These two are getting cancelled and these two are getting cancelled. Now this one is summation Pij Qij into summation Pij Qij. So this will be summation Pij Qij whole square. Similarly here also summation P naught j Q naught j, summation Q naught j P naught j. This will be summation P naught j Q naught j whole square. So you'll get only summation Pij Qij by summation P naught j Q naught j, which is nothing but V0i, value index number. So for Fisher's P0i into Q0i is equals to V0i. Hence Fisher's index number satisfies factor reversal test. Now since Fisher's index number satisfies both time reversal and factor reversal test, it is also called as ideal index number. Since Fisher's index number satisfies both time reversal and factor reversal test, it is termed as an ideal index number. Fourth one is circular test. What is the circular test? This test is based on the shiftability of the base, and it is an extension of the time reversal test. So in time reversal test, we'll do P0i into Pi0. Here you'll have one more term. Okay. So here, suppose instead of 0i or i0, I have AB. So this will be PAB into PBC into PCA should be equal to 1. So this test is satisfied only by the indices based on simple geometric mean of price relatives and Kelly's fixed base method. Only these two methods satisfy a circular test. Next is one of the important topic is cost of living index number. So why we need this cost of living index number? For what we need to calculate this cost of living index number? So generally we see there will be some changes in the prices of different commodities or goods or any services. So to study how this change in the prices affects the consumers for the current period as compared with the previous periods. So to study that, you have this cost of living index number. So cost of living index number is constructed to study the effect of changes in the price of goods and services of consumers for a current period as compared with base period. So here the change in the cost of living index number, whenever there is change in the prices, it means there will be change in the standard of living of the people. So the change in the, that is called as the cost of living. The change in the cost of living index number between any two periods means the change in income, which will be necessary to maintain the same standard of living in both the periods. Okay, so when the prices are changing, suppose the prices are changing, have changed from last year in 2019 and this is 2020. So there is a lot of change in the prices. It means what? There will be a change in the income also. There is a necessary to make changes in the income so that the consumers can maintain the same standard of living in both the periods. Okay, so whenever there is a change in the cost of living index number, it means that there should be a change in income also. So therefore, the cost of living index number measures the average increase in the cost to maintain the same standard of living. So till now we have calculated, see already we have price index numbers to measure the price changes. Then again, why cost of living index numbers? See, whenever there is a change in the prices, there is a different consumption habits of people in different classes of people. We have different class of people, rich class, poor class, middle class. So the changes in the price levels will affect different classes of people in different way. So these changes, how it is affecting the changes to different class of people cannot be measured using general price index number. So to reflect the effect of changes in the cost of living of different classes of people, we calculate this cost of living index number. So since the consumption habits of people differ widely from class to class and even within the region, the changes in the price level affect the different classes of people. Consequently, the general price index number failed to reflect the effect of changes in the cost of living of different class of people. So therefore, cost of living index number measures the general price movement of the commodities consumed by different class of people. So hence cost of living index number is also known as consumer price index number or retail price index. We have different two methods of constructing a cost of living index number. One is aggregate expenditure method, which is also called as weighted aggregate method. Second one is family budget method. So first we'll see aggregate expenditure method. This is the most common method which is used to calculate the cost of living index number. Here in this method, weights are assigned to various commodities consumed by a group in the base year. So here in this method, the quantity of the base year is used as weight. So cost of living index number is summation Pij Q naught J by summation P naught J Q naught J into 100. This is nothing but last year's index number only. So total expenditure in current year divided by total expenditure in current year in base year. This should be base year. Total expenditure in current year divided by total expenditure in base year into 100. This gives you cost of living index number. So the formula for aggregate expenditure method to calculate cost of living index number is same as formula of last year's method. Second one is family budget method. So in this method, cost of living index number is obtained on taking the weighted average of price relatives. The weights being the values of quantities consumed in the base year. So if you have the price relative Pj as Pij by P naught J into 100 and Wj is equals to P naught J into Q naught J, this is nothing but the quantities consumed in the base year. Then the cost of living index number is summation Wj Pj by summation Wj. So this method is same as weighted average of price relatives formula. Now what are the uses of cost of living index number? So these are mainly used for the calculation of real wages and for determining the changes in the purchasing power of the money, where the purchasing power of money is given as calculated using the formula 1 by cost of living index number, and the real wages are calculated using money wage by cost of living index number into 100. It is also used for the regulation of dearness allowance, the grant of bonus to the workers so as to enable them to meet the increased cost of living. So whenever there is an increase in the prices, then how we should allocate DA to the employees, or how we should grant bonus to the workers. Okay, how much we should allocate the DA for the employees. Okay. So to find that also we'll be using cost of living index numbers. These indices are also used for deflation of income and value series in national accounts. Cost of living index numbers are used widely in wage negotiations and wage contracts. Cost of living index numbers, along with indices of wholesale prices, wages, profits, production, employment, etc., serves as an economic indicator for the analysis of price situation. Okay. So whenever you are using this cost of living index number, along with this wholesale prices indices or wages indices, employment indices, along with this, it acts as an economic indicator for the analysis of price situation. Next topic is base shifting. So one of the frequent operation necessary in the use of index numbers is changing the base of index. Why we need to change the base of index? There are two reasons for that. One is when the base year is too old or it is too distant or too far away from the current period, then to make meaningful and valid comparisons, we need to shift the base. Second reason is if you want to compare series of index numbers with different base periods, to make quick and valid comparisons, both the series must be expressed with the common base period. So these are the two reasons we need to change the basis of the index. So when base period is to be changed, one possibility is to recompute all index numbers using the new base period. So a simpler approximate method is to divide all index numbers for the various years corresponding to the old base period by the index number corresponding to the new base period, expressing the results as percentage. That is called as recasting of index numbers. We are dividing all the index numbers for the various years corresponding to the old base period by the index number corresponding to the new base period, and we express them as percentages. That is called as recasting of index numbers. So the series of index numbers recast with a new base period is obtained using this formula. Recast index number, this is recast, it's not recent. Recast index number of the year is equals to old index number of the year by index number of new base year into 100. So this is the formula for recasting the index number or calculating the index number after base shifting. Next you have splicing. What is splicing? Splicing means what? Splicing means combining. Okay? So here in this index number, why we need this splicing? Splicing is a process whereby two or more discontinuous series of index number with different base years are merged to form a continuous series of index numbers with a new base years. If you have two index numbers which are discontinuous and both are index numbers are with different base periods, then what we do, we combine those two discontinuous index numbers, okay, with a new base year so that it is a continuous series of index numbers. Like suppose I have two series, say y1 and y2. When I am combining the series y1 into y2, that is when the series y1 is merged into the series y2, it is known as forward splicing. And when series y2 is merged into series y1, it is known as backward splicing. More precisely, to tell in terms of statistics, in splicing, either the new index series is spliced with the old index series or the old index series is spliced with the new index series. So when the new index series is spliced with the old index series, it is called as forward splicing. And when the old index series is spliced with the new index series, then it is called as backward splicing. This is latter, it's a spelling mistake. So when the old index series is spliced with the new index series, it is called as backward splicing. Now in any case, for the overlapping year concerned, see whenever you are combining either forward splicing or backward splicing, you will have an overlapping year. So a common factor is found by which all the indices of the series to be spliced are multiplied to get the spliced indices with a common base. So when the new indices are to be spliced with the base year of the old indices, which is a forward splicing, in such a case, the common factor is to be determined by the formula C is equals to old index of the overlapping year divided by 100. When the old indices are to be spliced with the base year of the new indices, it is a case of backward splicing. In such a case, the common factor is determined by the formula C is equals to 100 by old index of the overlapping year. Then the last topic in this index numbers is deflation. What is this deflation? Generally, deflation means whenever there are changes in the price levels, then how to give allowances to the workers so that they can overcome this changing in price levels. So one of the most useful application of price indices is to adjust series of rupee finger for changes in level of prices. This is known as deflation. So deflating means making allowance for the effect of changing price levels. So the increase in one of the prices of consumer goods for a class of people over a period of year means a reduction in the purchasing power of the class. So here, whenever consumer goods prices are increased over a period of year, then certain class of people may not be able to purchase that good or purchase that item, and not in a large quantity or the quantity in which they used to buy before the change in the prices. So that is what it means. So the increase in our prices of consumer goods for a class of people over a period of year means there will be a reduction in the purchasing power of that class. So how to find this deflating? There are two methods of deflating. One is purchasing power of money and real wage or income. So in this purchasing power of money, this can be deflated by the following formula. Purchasing power of money is equals to 100 by price index. Similarly, real wage or income is deflated by the formula real wage is equals to money wage by price index into 100. So here price index should preferably be the consumer price index rather than the wholesale price index, as the consumer price index reflects very well the changes in the purchasing power of a wage earner. So this is about deflation. Third one is real wage index or real income index. So here this real wage index or real income index can be deflated using the formula real wage index number is equals to index of money wage divided by price index number into 100, or real wage of the current year by real wage of the base year into 100 will give you real wage index number. So deflating is also known as real income also sometimes.